is seen through glass. Recently, behind the scenes, things have been a little bit hectic. I know that's kind of a cliched YouTuber thing to say. Oh guys, I've been so busy working on some huge, exciting projects that I can't tell you anything about. That's literally been the case. It's been flat out. And whilst it's all super exciting and it means 2023 is looking like a crazy old year, has meant there haven't been that many adventures on the channel recently. But don't worry, that's about to change. Because next week, myself and the co-host of my podcast, Tony from Gravelwood Car Sales, are heading to Los Angeles, California. We're going to be doing a whole load of promotional work for the podcast, including a live podcast event, but we're also going to be creating some awesome content for this channel. So stay tuned, turn on notifications, subscribe, you know, all the kind of usual stuff. Today, I've managed to carve out some time to quickly head down to Porsche Guildford. Because if you're a regular viewer to this channel, you're probably wondering, where on earth is my GT3? Now, just in case you are new to this channel, or maybe you haven't watched any of my videos for a while and you don't know about my forthcoming GT3, let me take you back to the start of the story, because in March this year, I got a call from the legends at Porsche Guildford, which is where I got my 718 Cayman S, my 911 Carrera T. They said, Sam, would you like a GT3? I did have to check about 6 or 7 times that they'd called the right Sam. I was like, you know, this is Sam from Seeing Through Glass, right? And they were like, yep. We know who you are and we'd love to offer you a car. Well, of course I said, yeah, I'll take one. I didn't ask any questions. I said, yeah, where do I sign? And that's because, let's face it, that's not a call you get every day. Rightly or wrongly, not every Porsche customer gets offered a GT3. Whilst I have a fantastic relationship with the team at Porsche Guildford, and as I mentioned, I bought my Cayman S and Carrera T from this dealership, I was realistic in the fact that I probably wasn't that high up on their VIP list. So when the offer came in, I grabbed it with both hands, because by that point, I'd driven the 992 GT3 a few times and I was obsessed, so I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity. However, the offer did come with one small caveat, and that was that the team at Guildford didn't know exactly when my GT3 might arrive. At that time, and heck still today, most manufacturers around the world are suffering with production delays. So the sort of best realistic delivery date was end of Q1, maybe early Q2, 2023. At that point I was like, yeah, who cares? I got a GT3 coming, I don't care when it turns up. But then we run into a story of a little bit of false hope, because in June I got a call from Russell, the salesman who's been looking after me, saying, Sam, exciting news. I've got a build slot for your car, and it's October this year. After some mild financial panic, I got extremely overexcited. It meant that we had to lock in the spec of the car very quickly and then basically sit around and wait for an expected delivery date sometime in November. Well, it's November. The car's not here. The one problem with coming to a Porsche dealership to try and make a video when you're a Porsche enthusiast is you get distracted by all the lovely stock. I'm obsessed with this thing. From the minute I walked in today, I cannot stop staring at it. It's a 718 Cayman GTS in a really classy spec. Black paint, but look at these wheels that I personally think are fantastic, giving me a kind of old retro Fuchs style vibe. And then with these kind of standard, I guess, sports seats with the Alcantara and leather mix. It's PDK, not manual. I might have a manual car, but yeah, no tinted glass. It's just a really elegant and classy spec. This is a more traditional GTS spec, a bit of a leery colour, black wheels, loads of black elements. It looks cool, it looks mean, but I just prefer that Cayman. It's banging. Speaking of banging specs though, check out this 992 Turbo S. I'm actually a big fan of this generation Turbo S. I think it's such a complete car. As a road car, it's really fantastic and I just love the looks. But yeah, this particular spec with that paint, obviously the yellow calipers of the carbon ceramics really popping. It's a lovely bit of kit. Obviously a little bit more practical than a GT3. It's not tempting me away in any shape or form, but yeah, as I say, I do like these, and that has been really nicely put together. The showroom tour continues because the juicy cars continue. Lovely GT4. If I spin around here, also a really nice 718 Spider. White with the gold elements. I think really works. Even look, gold Spider badges, contrast stitching, which kind of ties in as well. This one is a manual, which is how I think all 718 Spiders should be. This is really, really nice. Obviously the last GT3 I drove was the white car with gold wheels in Vancouver. So it's kind of, yeah, nice tying my story together slightly, but that is a big win. And then you've got a sort of very mean looking black on black on black GT4 right next to it. Even more GT4 goodness. Wow, they are really stocked up 718 GT4s at the moment. A crayon and a silver next to it. Oh, actually, there we go. Another one, white with black wheels. Wow, if you want a GT4, come to Porsche Guildford, my God. And then look at this, previous gen, actually no, 2 gens ago now, 991.1 GT3. This was actually my first Porsche GT car experience when I got behind the wheel of Mr. JWW's in Monaco all those years ago. Still a great car this, and potentially a bit of a bargain. I think it's still under 100k, and yeah, fantastic bit of kit, looking real nice in the showroom floor. And one more very nicely spec'd 992 Turbo, this one a cabriolet in yellow. Actually a big fan of a yellow Porsche, a yellow 911. I don't think I'm giving anything away there in terms of my spec, because I still haven't revealed my GT3 spec, but it could be yellow, because I do think it looks awesome, especially on the 992 generation. But look, I've been distracted enough by all the cars in the showroom. Let's get back to my GT3. Well, this isn't it, unfortunately. It'd be lovely if it was, because, well, that's a lovely spec car, and it would also mean, haha, my GT3's here. But like I mentioned just a few moments ago, my GT3 is not here. Actually, don't know where it is. Well, it's at the factory, apparently, but yeah. Let me talk you through what's going on. The first kind of completion date we got from Porsche for my car was, I think, the 12th of October. I was keeping track of the build via the My Porsche app, and I was also speaking regularly to Russell here at Porsche Guildford. We were planning the sort of, the collection video, my first drive video, getting all the sort of timelines in place. It's all very exciting. But then, around the 13th or the 14th of October, Russell called me up and said, Sam, we got a small issue. Completion date has been delayed. The car is apparently stuck around the paint shop within the factory. And now we're expecting completion kind of like the 3rd of November. I was like, okay, it's not the end of the world. What's a month? I've already been waiting 6 or 7 months. I can wait a bit longer, and the car will still come before the end of the year. I can still do my planned collection video, my planned first drive video. Kind of made sense that maybe something would happen around the paint shop, because if you don't know, my car is a PTS car, paint to sample car. It means that the paint is relatively unique, so you could kind of understand that maybe they didn't get it quite right, they wanted to go through once again, so I was chilled. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, I got distracted with a whole load of other projects. It's been that hectic time, so time flew. So I checked in with Russell once again on the 4th or 5th of November saying, hey, when can we expect the car? Let's plan a new collection video. Russell called me straight away and said, another problem. Car's still not being completed. And we've got a new date of the 28th of November. I was like, because realistically that means I wouldn't be collecting the car until the start of next year. Because apparently from completion date in the factory, it's about 3 or 4 weeks before you can then collect the car in the UK. And with the Christmas holidays and all that kind of stuff, this is not great. Let's find out what on earth is going on. Apparently, it all comes down to a parts supply issue, which so many manufacturers are struggling with. And there are 2 parts on my particular car which Porsche are struggling to get hold of. I'm going to reveal what they are now. So this is a little bit of a spec reveal. They're actually 2 super boring options, so don't get too excited. It's not going to reveal that much. The first thing, carbon ceramic brakes. Now, when I initially put a deposit down on my car back in March, carbon ceramics were not available to be optioned on a GT3 because of the supply issue. But when we came to lock in the spec of my car in June, they were back available again. So I was like, heck, let's chuck them on. Let's do the carbon ceramics. But apparently they are not easy to get hold of. So my car is currently on the factory line with no brakes available to be fitted. And as I say, this is a sort of common thing. I think Matt Farah from the Smoking Tyre, he had to retrofit OEM carbon ceramic brakes to his 718 Spider because over the last couple of years they've been so hard for Porsche to get hold of. The second thing actually relates to the interior, and it's the Bose sound system, so the optional upgraded sound system for the GT3. You can't have the Burmeister sound system, which you can sometimes get in other 911s. In the GT3, it's either the standard sound system or Bose. And so many manufacturers I hear are struggling with not only Bose, but just general sound system upgrades and fitting them to the car. So I don't really know what to say, but those two things are what are holding up the build of my car. It's to say it's sitting in the factory, no brakes, no sound system, but apparently apart from that, ready to be built. And the problem is we have no idea when those parts may become available again. Okay, we have this proposed new completion date of the 28th of November or whatever it is, but we've already had two previous completion dates that have been missed, that one in October and the one at the beginning of November. So who's to say that the new date won't also get pushed back? There's nothing really I can do. I can't retrospectively go back and go, oh, I don't want ceramics anymore. I don't need the sound system. My spec has been locked in since June. I cannot change it. So it's just a waiting game. And as I say, I mean, it's really not the end of the world. I don't want to sound spoiled or ungrateful. I've still got a GT3 coming, and that's an incredibly special position to be in. It's that false hope that I mentioned, which is definitely not Guildford's fault. It's Porsche's fault. Porsche, if you knew you didn't have the ceramics, why did you start building the car? I guess because they hoped they would have those parts available once they'd started that build process. But yeah, we're just in this weird limbo now, which is actually back to square one, back where I was between March and June. Not really knowing when the car would turn up, but at some point it would, and it would be a great day. So I'm sorry, because I know lots of you are kind of waiting for it and you want to know the spec and you want to see the car, and I think you're excited for me. I'm also excited, but we've got to see the benefit that firstly, well, it gives me a bit of time to save up some more money, because also financially, I am a little bit concerned about this thing. So yeah, a bit more time to save a few more pennies will help. And secondly, it will just make the wait worth it even more. Do you know what I mean? It's just going to stretch. When this car finally turns up and I finally collect it with its carbon ceramics and its Bose sound system, what a day that's going to be. So yes, at some point I'll be back here, Porsche Guildford, to collect my car, and what an exciting day it will be. But I got plenty of other things to be excited about at the moment. Firstly, this car, which I still absolutely love and adore and is sounding better than ever. But as I mentioned, my forthcoming trip to LA with Tony, please do subscribe and turn on notifications, because we have got some hilarious but also epic videos lined up for that trip, so it's going to be very special, and some Porsche action. So my GT3 might not be here, but it doesn't mean there's not going to be Porsche content on this channel. And as I teased right at the start, there is a lot going on, a lot building up in the background, which means the future is looking very bright and very strong for STG. Anyway, I'll catch up with you soon enough.